Good morning. You may have been surprised yesterday when I said that the Davidic Covenant hasn't yet been fulfilled. But it hasn't. If you look into the Acts of the Apostles, after Jesus' ministry, after his crucifixion, after his resurrection, he's meeting with his disciples. He's been training his disciples for 40 days in Galilee. Then just before his ascension, and this is recorded for us by Luke in the Acts of the Apostles, they come to him and they say, "Will you at this time restore the kingdom to Israel?" See, all through his ministry, he'd been challenging the people of Israel to accept him as Messiah. All through his ministry, they'd been rejecting it. When he was finally arrested, he came before the council of the Sanhedrin who were trying him. And they try to find fault in him and can't find fault in him. And then finally they say to him, "Are you the Son of God? Tell us, are you the Son of God?" And he says, "Yes." And they say, "Blasphemy, we won't accept it." And they take him to Pilate and they say, "This man must be killed because he has committed this terrible blasphemy." And Pilate says, "I'm not going to crucify a man because of your religious laws." They said, "He has set himself up as king. He has set himself up against Caesar. And our king is Caesar. We don't want this man as our king." But they forgot that when he was on trial in front of them, Jesus also said to them, "You will not see me again until you say," you leaders of Israel say, "Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." Pilate took him, crucified him. He died on the cross. He rose from the dead. He teaches his apostles. But now, just before his ascension, they say to him, "Will you at this time restore the kingdom to Israel?" And he says to them, "It's not for you to know the time. That is going to be set by the Father." For the truth is, the Davidic covenant will not be fulfilled until Jesus returns. And do you know what the signal is going to be for his coming back? It is a signal he gave to the leaders of Israel during his trial. He says to them quite simply, "You will not see me again until you say, 'Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord.' For there will come a time when the veil over Israel will be lifted, when they will suddenly realize what it is that their ancestors did, when they will turn back to God in penitence, when they will mourn for him as they would mourn for an only child, when they will cry out to God to send him back, that he might truly be their king, that he will truly save them from their enemies. And at that moment, God will send him back, because when Jesus comes back, he's coming back as King of the Jews. During his lifetime, the enemy must have been very worried by him. How could he stop this ministry? What could he do about it? Because, you see, he recognized him. He knew who he was. He had defeated Adam and Eve in Eden by causing them to sin. Now, if he could get this man to sin as well, he'd come under his power. If he could get Jesus to go against the Father, he'd come under his power. He did everything he could. When he was crucified, hanging on the cross, he got people to shout out at him, "Come off the cross or we will obey you. Come off the cross or we will serve you." He had to try and stop him from obeying the Father. But Jesus ignores him. And Jesus dies on the cross. And with his death, the whole of history changes. Because Satan, previously known as Lucifer, had done the one thing he was not entitled to do. He was not entitled to kill an innocent man. Jesus was a person who was outside of his authority to kill because he had no sin. But he had caused him to be killed. He had tried to stop him from dying. But Jesus wanted to obey the Father, whatever the cost. And with the death of Jesus on the cross, something strange happens. Because God passes sentence, even upon Satan himself, and says, you've now done something which was outside of your authority. You have deliberately killed an innocent man over whom you had no authority. And for that, the sentence on you, Satan, is that you will die.